to Business Review, a daily program that delves into the latest and most significant economic stories. From stock markets to currency news, Business Review covers the most up-to-date developments in the global financial world.
Lebanon's Prime Minister Hassan Diab said that his country cannot meet its forthcoming debt maturities, setting the heavily indebted state on course for a sovereign default as it grapples with a major financial crisis. In a televised address to the nation, the Prime Minister declared the suspension of a bond payment of $1.2 billion due on March 9th, saying that foreign currency reserves had hit dangerously low levels and were needed to meet basic needs. In the southern city of Sidon, anti-government protesters said they welcomed the move, but were worried as some believe the country is moving to increase taxes. Protests were held in several cities against the rising cost of living. Lebanon's currency pegged to the dollar had been officially set for $1, being the equivalent of $1.500 Lebanese liras, but bank restrictions on dollar withdrawal has forced a parallel market to emerge in which the dollar had been exchanging for as high as 2,500 Lebanese liras, causing an outcry among the public. The default will mark a new phase in a crisis that has hammered the economy since October, slicing around 40% of the value of the local currency, denying savers full access to their deposits and fueling unrest. The crisis is widely seen as the biggest risk to Lebanon's stability since the end of the 1975 to 1990 civil war.
The novel coronavirus outbreak has shaken South Korea's economy from exports to small businesses. A queue of patient shoppers stretch outside a Seoul pharmacy as new regulations introduced by the government limit purchases to 2 face masks per person each week. As the outbreak continues to spread, stocks have run lower and there has been a scramble for masks as supply has become limited. Yo Young-ran, a Seoul resident, said while waiting in line to buy masks that it's difficult to go out without a mask, adding that living without masks is no longer the norm. The normally bustling Namdaemun market is virtually empty. Many South Koreans are limiting themselves to only essential travel outside their home. Yeon Soob, a merchant in the market, said there had been a drop of over 90% in consumer number, and should the situation persist, he would soon start worrying about his livelihood. But it's not just the short-term damage to small businesses. The coronavirus outbreak has already seen sharp falls on stock exchanges around the world. The real concern for South Korea's export-driven economy is that a long-term coronavirus outbreak will lead to a slump in global production and demand. For a country like South Korea that's so reliant on trade with much larger economies like China and the US, major disruption in either country would be bad news. Ju Won, a director at Hyundai Research Institute, said that as the COVID-19 shook the Chinese economy, it has also affected the South Korean economy since February. South Korea is largely dependent on exports. If this trend reaches America, their economy will be badly affected.
The Detroit-based filmmakers behind Republican Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez 2018 viral campaign ad are now channeling their leftist activism into Means TV, the first post-capitalist, worker-owned streaming service. The site, founded by 30-year-old Naomi Burden and 22-year-old Nick Hayes, eschews corporate backers or venture capital in favor of a user-based subscription model with the aim of elevating stories about the working class. Subscribers pay $10 a month to access a trove of documentaries, films, animations, and a live weekly news program from Washington. Means TV officially launched in Detroit last month and has since notched some 2,500 members. Hayes said the fact they are not financially beholden to advertisers means they can explore controversial topics more openly, such as a conflict between Israel and the Palestinians, and tell stories that resonate with average workers whose representation he feels is sorely lacking on other streaming services such as Netflix and Hulu. Means TV was quite a leap for Hayes and Burden, who worked together out of their home in an impoverished neighborhood of Detroit, near the long-defunct Packard automotive plant, which has become a symbol of the city's decline. Burden spent nearly a decade working in public relations for Fortune 500 companies, including the city's famed automotive businesses. Hayes made a living producing commercial films, but the results of the 2016 presidential election and the ascendance of Senator Bernie Sanders' more progressive ideas made them completely rethink their path. The self-described democratic socialists decided to quit their jobs and instead apply their skills to progressive causes. They started means of production and soon thereafter landed the job of producing the campaign ad for a little-known U.S. House candidate from the Bronx, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The ad went viral and helped catapult AOC to a shocking victory over a prominent incumbent Democrat. The main target for Means TV is young people, since they tend to be more receptive to their post-capitalist agenda, added Hayes. Indeed, 51% of US young people ages 18 to 29 have a positive view of socialism, compared with 30% of those aged 50 to 64, according to a 2018 Gallup poll, while some Hollywood executives dismissed their premise of a post-capitalist streaming service. According to Hayes, he is confident it will find an audience.
Australian airline Qantas announced on March 10th that it will cut its international capacity by nearly 25% over the next 6 months and delay an order for Airbus A350 planes, all part of sweeping changes in response to a coronavirus-led plunge in passenger demand. Major Australian airline Qantas will take sweeping steps to deal with the plunge in bookings sparked by the coronavirus. That collapse in demand is punishing airlines around the globe, as Qantas will cut international routes by nearly a quarter over the next 6 months. Its chairman and chief executive will forego salary for the rest of the financial year. Speaking to reporters in Sydney, CEO Alan Joyce said that the expansion of the coronavirus into Europe and North America has been the biggest driver of the hit in demand that they've seen in those markets. So they have seen Asia deteriorate further. They've seen North America and Europe have a big hit in forward bookings, and this will be a survival of the fittest. The carrier is grounding around 38 planes in total, more than double the 18 it announced last month. And in a blow to plane manufacturer Airbus, Qantas also said they'll delay an order of A350 jets. It was expected to place an order for up to 12 of the airliners by the end of the month. They're capable of the world's longest flights from Sydney to London. On top of all this, top Qantas leadership will see their salaries slashed by a third, and the company will encourage staff to take time off. The International Air Transport Association says all those passengers staying home could equal up to $113 billion in lost revenue across the entire air travel industry this year.
Asian shares bounced and bond yields rose from historic lows on March 10th as speculation of coordinated stimulus from global central banks and governments calmed panic selling. Japan's Nikkei 225 opened down 1.14% at 19,474.89, while the broader Topix shed 1.24% at 1,371.74. In Hong Kong, the benchmark Hang Seng Index rose 0.9% to 25,299.31 points after falling the most in 2 years on March 9th. In South Korea, stocks opened slightly lower, with a Korea Composite Stock Price Index down 11.59 points, or 0.59%, to 1,943.18 points. In Shanghai, the Shanghai Composite Index slid 3% to 2,943.29 points, while the CSI 300 Index skidded 3.4% to close at 3,997.13 points. Wall Street suffered its biggest one-day loss since the 2008 financial crisis on March 9th, and recession worries loomed large as tumbling oil prices and ongoing coronavirus fears prompted investor panic on the anniversary of the U.S. stock market's longest ever bull run.
This has been Business Review, your daily source for the most critical financial stories. Tune in next time for the latest financial news impacting the world economy.